These are 5 Simpsons episodes that are way more disturbing than they have any right to be. First up, we have Homer's Enemy from season 8, an episode that starts off funny but slowly transforms into something genuinely unsettling. The episode introduces Frank Grimes, a man who's worked hard his entire life only to end up with nothing. Meanwhile, Homer Simpson, a complete idiot who barely does his job, has a house, a family, and somehow never faces any real consequences for his actions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The bag was clearly marked. Please be more careful in the future.
Frank Grimes is essentially the audience surrogate here. He's the guy asking all the questions we've been ignoring for 8 seasons. How does Homer have this life? Why doesn't he get fired? How is any of this fair? And the episode doesn't give him satisfying answers. Instead, it doubles down on the absurdity, showing Frank that in Springfield, competence and hard work mean absolutely nothing. What makes this episode disturbing isn't the comedy. It's watching a man slowly lose his mind because he's stuck in a world that doesn't make sense.
Lobsters for dinner! And do you deserve any of it? No!
He tries to expose Homer as a fraud, but nobody cares. He throws a tantrum in the middle of the nuclear plant, mimicking Homer's careless behavior, and it gets him killed. The final nail in the coffin? Homer falls asleep during Frank's funeral, and everyone laughs at him.
Change the channel, Marge.
Even in death, Frank Grimes is a joke. This episode is dark because it's honest. It acknowledges that the Simpsons universe is fundamentally broken and that trying to fight against it will destroy you. Frank Grimes didn't die because he was a bad person. He died because he cared too much in a world that rewards apathy. That's genuinely disturbing when you think about it. Next, we have And Maggie Makes 3 from season 6. Now, on the surface, this is supposed to be a heartwarming episode about Homer realizing how much he loves Maggie. But if you actually pay attention, it's one of the most depressing half hours of television The Simpsons ever produced. The episode is framed as Homer telling the kids the story of Maggie's birth, and it starts with Homer finally escaping the nuclear plant.
Did you hear me? I said I quit, Monty!
He quits his job, cashes in his savings, and starts working at a bowling alley. For the first time in years, Homer is genuinely happy. He loves his job. He's not miserable. He even puts up a plaque in his workstation that says, "Do it for her," but originally says, "Don't forget you're here forever."
Don't forget, you're here forever.
Crossed out with pictures of Maggie. But then Marge gets pregnant with Maggie, and Homer realizes he can't afford another kid on a bowling alley salary, so he has to crawl back to Mr. Burns and beg for his job back. Burns, being Burns, makes Homer grovel and humiliate himself just to get rehired, and Homer does it because he has no choice. The disturbing part isn't that Homer sacrifices his happiness for his family. That's noble. The disturbing part is that the episode makes it clear this is permanent. Homer will never escape the power plant. He'll never be happy again. His entire life is defined by obligation and misery, and there's no way out. The final scene shows Homer looking at the pictures of Maggie covering the plaque, and it's supposed to be sweet, but all it really does is remind you that Homer had to give up everything just to survive. This episode is disturbing because it's real. It's about being trapped by circumstance, about sacrificing your dreams because you have no other option, and about the fact that sometimes love isn't enough to make you happy. That's a heavy message for a sitcom, and the show doesn't sugarcoat it. Moving on, we have Bart After Dark from season 8, an episode that's uncomfortable for entirely different reasons. The setup is simple. Marge and Lisa go to clean up an oil spill, leaving Homer and Bart home alone.
See you at dinner.
Bart accidentally breaks a stone gargoyle at a creepy old house and has to work there to pay off the damages. Turns out the house is a burlesque club called the Maison Derrière, and it's run by a woman named Belle.
I have been grossly misinformed about witches.
At first, the episode plays this for laughs. Bart's working at an adult establishment, Homer's clueless, and the whole thing is treated like a wacky misunderstanding. But the more you think about it, the more uncomfortable it gets. Bart is 10 years old. He's cleaning and serving drinks at a place where women perform burlesque shows for adult men, and everyone in the episode treats this like it's no big deal. The townsfolk are horrified when they find out about the burlesque house, but not because a child is working there. They're upset because it's a den of sin.
Drinking, gambling, and debauchery. It's right under our noses.
They want to tear it down for moral reasons, not because there's a literal child involved. Even Marge, who leads the charge to destroy the house, doesn't seem bothered by the fact that Bart's been working there. She's mad at Homer for not supervising him, but the actual situation barely acknowledged. What makes this episode disturbing is the casual way it handles something that should be a much bigger deal. In any other context, this would be horrifying, but because it's The Simpsons, it's played for laughs and nobody ever brings it up again. The episode ends with the town deciding to keep the burlesque house open.
What about the sleaze and the depravity?
After Belle sings a big musical number and Bart just goes home like nothing happened. It's bizarre, uncomfortable, and weirdly swept under the rug. Now let's talk about Lisa's Substitute from season 2, an episode that's emotionally devastating in a way that still hits hard decades later. The plot is straightforward. Miss Hoover gets sick.
Just came from the doctor and I have Lyme disease.
And Lisa's class gets a substitute teacher named Mr. Bergstrom. He's kind, intelligent, and actually understands Lisa in a way that nobody else in her life does. For once, Lisa feels seen and valued. But then, Miss Hoover comes back.
Good morning, Lisa.
And Mr. Bergstrom has to leave. Lisa begs him to stay, but he can't. He gives her a note that says, "You are Lisa Simpson," and tells her that whenever she feels alone, she should look at it and remember that she's special. Then he gets on a train and leaves forever.
Goodbye, Lisa, honey. It'll be okay.
The disturbing part of this episode is how real it feels. Lisa is 8 years old, and she's already starved for intellectual and emotional connection. Her family loves her, but they don't understand her. Her classmates ignore her. Her teachers are indifferent. And then this one person shows up, makes her feel important, and disappears just as quickly. It's a brutal reminder that sometimes the people who matter most to us are only in our lives for a brief moment. The final scene is what really twists the knife. Lisa comes home devastated, and Homer tries to comfort her. He has no idea what to say, so he just hugs her and tells her that he's not a perfect father, but he loves her. And Lisa cries in his arms. It's one of the most human moments in the entire series, but it's also incredibly sad because it shows just how little emotional support Lisa actually gets. This one substitute teacher meant more to her than anyone else, and now he's gone forever. This episode is disturbing because it's about loss and loneliness and the aching realization that the people who truly understand you are rare and fleeting. It's not scary, it's just deeply, deeply sad. Finally, we have One Fish, Two Fish, Blowfish, Bluefish from season 2, an episode where Homer eats poisonous blowfish and is told he has 24 hours to live.
24 hours?
Well, 22. I'm sorry I kept you waiting so long.
This should be a dark comedy, and for the most part, it is. Homer makes a list of things he wants to do before he dies, tries to reconnect with his father, and attempts to be a better person in his final hours. But what makes this episode disturbing is how seriously it takes the premise. This isn't a Treehouse of Horror episode where death is a joke. This is Homer genuinely believing he's going to die, and the show plays it straight. He writes a goodbye letter to his family. He listens to the Bible on tape.
Hi, I'm Larry King. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
He spends his last evening with Marge, just sitting with her in silence because he doesn't know what else to do. The final act of the episode is where it gets really uncomfortable. Homer comes home after trying to complete his list, and he realizes he's failed at almost everything. He couldn't reconcile with his father. He couldn't tell off Mr. Burns.
Hey, Burns! Eat my shorts!
He didn't do most of the things he wanted to do, so he just sits down with his family and waits to die. The scene where Homer says goodbye to his kids is genuinely heartbreaking. He tells Bart to be a better man than he was. He tells Lisa to stay as sweet and smart as she is. He kisses Maggie on the forehead, and then he goes to bed with Marge, expecting to never wake up. The whole sequence is played completely straight, with no jokes, no gags, just a man accepting his death and trying to make peace with it. Of course, Homer wakes up the next morning.
I'm alive! I'm alive! And I couldn't be happier!
Because the doctor miscalculated the poison, but the damage is done. For one night, Homer Simpson genuinely believed he was going to die. and we watched him grapple with his mortality in a way that felt uncomfortably real. The episode ends with Homer promising to live every day like it's his last, but we all know he's going to go back to being the same lazy, irresponsible guy he's always been, and that's somehow even more depressing. This episode is disturbing because it's a reminder that life is fragile and that most of us waste it. Homer got a second chance, but how many of us actually would? It's a heavy episode disguised as a comedy, and it lingers with you long after it's over. So, there you have it. 5 Simpsons episodes that are way more disturbing than they should be. Let me know in the comments if there are any episodes I missed, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Simpsons content.